So can a child's sexuality be affected if they've experienced sexual harm?
This is often a really big worry of parents, it actually of clients, am I gay? Or if I was harmed by a boy, am I going to be gay? Or whatever is the scenario. And I think that, certainly, as we were talking about before, because it's a sexualised crime, then my sexual development may be impacted in terms of my fears about my body and about, what I feel comfortable exploring, what I'm, I suppose in a way enacting through my trauma, and that might lead to concerns and questions and behaviours as I'm working this stuff out. But as a rule, these things don't make someone's sexuality. That's something that may well predate, this, depending on what you believe, their sense and their comfort in those things is. But it can certainly lead to a lot of questions and wonderings and concerns. So again, for you to have the kind of relationship with your child, that means whatever question you have, whether it's about that stuff or what's the cricket scores on Saturday, it's that actually that message of whatever questions or worries or concerns you have, we can talk about them, and that we can support you through whatever you're doing, because your sexuality or your gender identity is going to develop through this process, and it might be influenced by the trauma. It doesn't mean it was caused by the trauma, but it might be influenced by it. And so for you as a whole person to be viewed and supported to whatever path you're going to be walking in your life is really important.
Yeah, I was thinking as you were talking, Catherine, that certainly in my experience, if you're working with a prepubescent child, that they are naturally going to be exploring their identity, and that includes sexuality and gender. And often what kids will say is, when they've been sexually harmed, is, I feel different. I feel different from other kids, and other kids can tell that I'm different. And so if they feel different, then they might be saying, well, what feels right for me? So they start trying on different hats, and that can be around sexuality, it can be around gender, or all parts of their identity, so that they can work out what feels right. And so you may have a child who's been sexually harmed who suddenly says, I'm bisexual, or I'm a demi-boy, or all these different terms that we have today. And that might be for a period. It's not necessarily a fixed kind of definite for the future. But what we say to parents is, don't be alarmed, don't kind of contradict or show any level of disapproval. Just go with it. If you can, try and stay open-minded, because often, it sort of they weave in and out while they're learning through this process of exploration who they are in the world, and how they can feel that they have a sense of belonging and where they fit in.
And that kind of identity is an important one. I had a client the other day who was talking about being ace, and I very naively was like, can you tell me what that is? I don't quite know what that is. And asexual. And so for them, they'd had an experience of trauma, and so but we're also 14. And so it's kind of like, actually, it's kind of okay. Well, it would be anyway. But that idea of having a label for it, say, this is what I am. And you could just see her kind of go, this is what I am. And again, that might be what she ends up being forever. But it might also just be a space where they can catch themselves on to go, I don't have to think about that boy stuff for a bit because I'm ace.
Yeah. And that helps me feel okay for the here and now.
Yeah.